fans were upset. Peter Criss was no longer in the band. And then Ace left.
We were in a strange position that we didn't have a lead guitar player at the time. So we had different people coming in and trying them out. We were determined to go in the studio and do a flat-out, ballsy album, and that was Creatures of the Night.
We begged Ace to let us put his face on the cover. So even though his face appears on the cover, he never played a stick, not a note.
One of the people who came in was Vinnie Crisano. Vinnie was, by default, the person who wound up in the band. Vinnie became Vinnie Vincent, and we carried on.
Lead guitarist Ace Frehley no longer tours with Kiss, and drummer Peter Criss has left the group. But Bob Travis found that it didn't change the raw power of Kiss.
They call themselves the loudest rock band in the world, and that's no exaggeration.
Starting off in 1983, Gene and Paul decided to fire Bill Coyne due to creative differences.
That chorus.
So between that and The Elder, they felt that maybe I was bringing them in the wrong direction. It was sad, but that's the way it went.
Restate what Kiss is all about, because I think with the two albums, let's say previous to that, people began to think that we were going off into all different directions, but we weren't really going to stay like that. I mean, we're basically a heavy metal band, and that's what we've always done. So I think Creatures was just our way of saying, that's us, folks.
It's a really big moment. After 10 years together, exclusively here on MTV this evening, we're going to see Kiss without their
On
makeup
September 18th, 1983, Kiss appeared to reveal their faces for the first time ever.
Eric Carr, drummer, has been with the band since 1979. And Kiss is, by the way, the very first band that Eric has ever been with. Paul Stanley, rhythm guitarist and lead vocalist. Paul is a co-founder of the group. Gene Simmons, bass, also co-founder of Kiss. He is the fire-breathing, blood-spitting monster of Kiss. Welcome, you guys. This is amazing. Whoa. No, it's so funny because just seeing you for the very first time after all this time, we're honored and we're really glad to have this exclusive. For all of you guys, actually, this question is, it'd be interesting to get your response, because I'm sure everyone in America wants to know, and especially anybody who's been a Kiss fan, and there are many of those over all these years. Very first time out, how does it feel now, without makeup, appearing for the very first time?
It feels good. It feels, we've always been close to our fans. In fact, in a lot of the shows, we'd walk out into the crowd to sort of get a feel of what everybody was feeling like. And most often they really wouldn't know it was us. So we've always felt closer, and I think it's time for them to sort of know us a little bit more. It feels very, very comfortable. I mean, I hope it seems that way. I feel fine about it. No, I'm fine.
Well, actually, it feels great. I mean, to me, it doesn't feel all that different, because I've seen these guys more often without makeup than I have with makeup.
On the same day, they released their 11th studio album, titled Lick It Up. The album featured the self-titled track, and All Hell's Breaking Loose. All Hell's Breaking Loose is one of the few Kiss songs to be written by the whole band. The Lick It Up tour started on October 11th, 1983, and ended on March 17th, 1984. Right after the tour ended, Vinnie Vincent was fired as lead guitarist for the band. It was reported that he did not want to sign an employee contract and had behavior issues on tour, with him overplaying his solo. Right after Kiss hired Mark St. John to take over as new lead guitarist. Kiss would later release their new album, titled Animalize, on September 17th, 1984. This album featured the songs Heaven's on Fire and Thrill in the Night. The tour would later start on September 30th, but with Mark St. John only playing 1.5 shows. Mark started to develop arthritis, making him unable to play guitar. Bruce Kulick, the brother of Bob Kulick, would later step in, officially joining the band in December. The Animalized tour would later end on March 29, 1985. Later on September 16, 1985, Kiss would release their 13th studio album titled Asylum, with the first time featuring Bruce on a cover. A music video was released alongside the album with Tears Are Falling. This was a weird time period for the band due to their clothing decision. Gene looked like a 6'3" monster dressed in drag. The tour would later begin on November 29th and end on November 12, 1986. During this time, Gene was absent from the band except for touring. Gene was busy with starting his acting career, with first appearing on the big screen in 1984 with the movie Runaway. In 1986, he appeared in Never Too Young to Die, where he starred alongside John Stamos. In this film, Gene was actually dressed in drag. Later in October, he cameoed as Nuke in Trick or Treat, a new rock and roll horror film. He was offered the main role but ultimately turned it down. In 1987, Gene appeared in one more film, Wanted Dead or Alive. Eventually, Paul got tired of this. He told Gene to either stay with the band and quit acting or he would be kicked out. Ultimately, Gene decided to quit acting and stay with the band. On September 21st, 1987, Kiss released their 14th studio album, Crazy Nights. The album featured Turn on the Night, Reason to Live, and self-titled Crazy Crazy Nights. The tour later began on November 13th, 1987. Rolling into 1988, the band was still going strong with the Crazy Nights tour. Instead of skipping out on an album like in '86, they decided to release a new compilation album named Kara, which featured a new extended version of I Was Made for Loving You, which released on May 25, 1988. The band finished off the Crazy Nights tour on October 3, 1988, and released another album. Smash, Thrashes, and Hits was another compilation album, but featured 2 new songs titled Let's Put the X in Sex and You Make Me Rock Hard. The album also featured a version of Beth, performed by Eric Carr, marking the only time he sang Beth. In 1989, Kiss was touring. Paul decided to depart on his own solo tour. He felt distant from the fans and decided to play in punk. He also took the opportunity to display his powerful vocals more. The tour lasted almost 3 months, spanning from February 15th to April 4th. The band consisted of Bob Kulick on lead guitar, who was a ghost musician on a couple albums in Kiss before, Eric Singer on drums, who played in Black Sabbath from '85 to '87, Dennis St. James on bass, and Gary Corbett.
I saw that review today. Some of those people don't think this is gonna last. I think it's a joke.
Yeah, well, I can't always listen to these guys. Main point is as long as we know what we're doing, right, guys?
Yeah. You know, we could take the makeup off. I'll bet you we could take the makeup off and it wouldn't make any difference.
You're crazy. What do you mean, take the makeup off? You're nuts.
Gene, we could take off the makeup, I mean, basically, when we started as a band. We started to play rock and roll, and that's what we could do. That's how we started, and we can keep doing that anytime we want. We could go back and play clubs.
Without the makeup? I think you're nuts.
Gene, there's nothing we can't do.
You're nuts.
There's nothing we can't do.
Still say you're nuts.
On April 1st, 1990, Kiss released the Rise to It music video. This music video featured Gene and Paul in makeup from the last time since 1983. On October 17th, 1989, Kiss released their 15th studio album titled Hot in the Shade. This album featured Hide Your Heart. Paul wrote the song, but at first it didn't end up on any Kiss album. Other artists covered this song, even Ace Frehley, who released his version of the song, a part of his Trouble Walking album, released on October 13th, 1989. This album also featured a song fully written and sang by Eric Carr, titled Little Caesar. The Hot in the Shade tour started on March 11, 1990 and ended on November 9, 1990, being one of the few Kiss tours to not last multiple years. As Kiss started to record their next coming album in early 1991, there also came heartbreaking news. Earlier in the year, Eric began feeling ill and coughing up blood. In February, medical tests revealed what initially appeared to be manageable health problems, but later it was revealed as heart cancer, which ended up stopping recording of the album for now. Later in spring of 1991, doctors discovered a tumor on Eric's heart. Eric was confident he would be able to beat the cancer and be able to record and return to the band.
3 days after open heart surgery to remove
Paul and Gene told Eric to not worry about the band and focus on his own health. It was reportedly that Paul and Gene didn't treat Eric well once he was put in the hospital by cutting off contact from the drummer.
the girl I'm gonna have to keep anyway. That was just something that they suggested because I was putting on a little bit of weight. I'm just kidding. And I have my Walkman that's attached to me that plays my heartbeat, so that, you know, it's cool, it's continuous, it plays all night long, I hope. And that's about it. So this is the way I look. Hope I haven't disappointed you. If anyone ever sees this tape, peace, love, and soul. No, rock on. And for everybody that sent me gifts and stuff like that and always thought about me and was concerned, thanks a lot, and I really appreciate it. And I'll be back to kick your asses again as soon as I can. I can't wait to get back and play drums, man. Because this sucks. Look at this place. Anyway, that's it. So I'll see you. Bye-bye. Thanks for watching Morning Drone. As I go towards you. Get out of here. So I'll see you. They're going from bye. Hi there. There was just one more thing that I thought I should do in order to make it an authentic, real rock and roll type tape, okay? I figured that maybe I should ruin everybody. Thank you very much. Goodbye.
For the time Eric would recover, they brought in a new drummer to record the album named Eric Singer. Singer was originally the drummer for Paul's 1989 solo tour. Released on July 19, 1991, Bill and Ted's Bogus Journey featured Kiss's cover of God Gave Rock and Roll to You. The single for the song was later released on August 22nd, and they also filmed a music video for it. Singer was originally supposed to be in the music video, but Eric Carr begged and tried to convince Paul and Gene to let him be in the video. They talked to the doctors and ultimately allowed Eric to be in the video. During the filming process, Eric had to wear makeup and wigs to make him not look sick. This was the last time Eric was involved in the band. On November 24th, 1991, it was announced at the age of 41, Paul Charles Carvello had passed away from heart cancer. Eric was beloved by fans for his bubbly and funny personality, and also for his contribution to the band. Unfortunately, Freddie Mercury, the lead singer from Queen, died on the same day from AIDS at the age of 45. Eric's death was overshadowed by Freddie's and wasn't missed properly. After Eric's passing, in December of 1991, Eric Singer officially joined the band. On January 8, 1992, Paul Stanley wrote a letter to the Rolling Stone magazine for not mentioning Eric's passing in their January 19th issue. The magazine featured the passing of Mercury, but the mention of Eric was nowhere to be found, leaving Paul writing the letter to the editors and writers. Finally, after a whole year of recording, with the band ditching the pop/glam metal music, Kiss switched the gear back to heavy metal and released their 16th studio album titled Revenge on May 18th in 1992. This album featured songs Unholy and God Give Rock and Roll to You too. This was the band's heaviest album since Creatures of the Night. The last track on the album was titled Hard Jam 1981, was a tribute to the late great. This song was a warm-up between Ace and Eric during the recording sessions of The Elder. The riff Ace used in the song later became the riff to his song Breakout on the debut album of Fraley's Comet, released in 1987. To avoid paying Fraley, Bruce went into the studio and dubbed over Ace's parts. The tour later began on April 23rd and ended on December 20th. And a year later, on May 18th, 1993, the band would later release Alive 3, the only Alive album to feature Eric Singer and Bruce Kulick. There was not a tour with the release of this album.
Yeah, you're excited tonight?
Yes.
I know you're a huge Kiss fan going way, way back.
Yes.
Yeah. Well, this is apropos because tonight, in honor of Kiss being here, I understand that you have a little assignment. You have a little project you want to share with everybody.
That's right. We've been preparing for Kiss's arrival for months now.
For the arrival of the Kiss Army.
Yes. And last weekend here in New York, and it's touring around the country, there's a series of Kiss conventions.
Yes, I've heard about them.
With memorabilia, just all sorts of Kissabilia, I guess it would be.
Yes, that's appropriate, Kissabilia.
And I took a camera crew with me and taped a segment.
And so last week. You went to the one here, it's here in New York, is that right?
Here in New York, last weekend.
Okay, well, ladies and gentlemen, I think there's nothing more to be said, except let's take a look at Andy Richter's visit to the big Kiss convention. Enjoy.
July 30th, 1995, Roseland Ballroom, NYC. Kiss convention. Let's go.
On April 2nd of 1994, Kiss launched their Kiss My Ash Blast convention tour. The band heard that fans of them would have these conventions where tribute bands and merch would be sold. So they decided to do an official convention on the road with breaking out some staged used costumes and instruments. They even brought out Eric Carr's Hawk costume, which was never used.
Remember earlier, we were saying that without the four original guys...
The tour was a great success.
we thought it might be something special, but something really deserved. I mean, you deserve this, and it's going to be a kick for us. We thought Peter could come out and sing a couple of songs. When we just came back from doing them outside of America, I sing this song, and you've heard Garth Brooks sing this song, but you know who sang this song first, don't you? So, let's see what happens.
You know, before I just want to say something just about everybody up here, and you guys too. You know, originally Peter just wanted to come by and, you know, be with you and with us. It was actually Eric Singer, God bless him, who said, why don't we get together and play? It was really Eric that wanted to do this, and that's what Peter...
Was a performance of Peter singing Hard Luck Woman at one of the shows he brought his daughter to, which sparked an idea for Gene and Paul. Later on August 9th, 1995, Kiss appeared on MTV Unplugged and shocked the world.
People are having a great time, but I think we may be having a better time up here. You want to fight about it? We're going to do something special. We got some members of the family here tonight. And we're not talking about mom and dad. We're talking about Peter, Chris, and Ace Frehley. What's going on? All right.
think anybody expected this, did they?
Oh, it's a secret.